What is going on, everybody? My name is Brendan Harberts, and I am the owner of Harberts Media and Harberts Health. As you guys can probably tell, I like naming things after myself. That rhymed. I did not try that. That's amazing. What's up, guys? This is going to be the first episode of the Get It Done podcast. This podcast is going to be aimed at helping people figure out what they want to do in life, or hopefully give them the extra motivation to take that next step in their career or their health and fitness or their personal life, whatever it may be. This podcast is gonna be aimed mostly at people that are younger than me, I'm 25 years old, but it doesn't have to just be people younger than me. It could be anyone and everyone that is going to try to improve their life somehow. The reason I said that I wanted to kind of be aimed at people younger than me is because I feel like kids that come out of high school are brutally unprepared for the real world when it comes to figuring out what they want to do in life. I feel like, school systems a lot of times have these certain career trajectories that they kind of place on kids, and they tell them that they have to go to a 4-year college, they have to get in debt, they have to have a traditional degree, otherwise they're going to be massive, complete failures in life. And I'm here to tell people that just isn't always the case. That can be the case, absolutely. However, that doesn't have to be the case. So that's kind of my goal with this podcast, is to really speak to young men and women just trying to find their way in the world, and hopefully provide a little bit of education, hopefully provide a little bit of guidance and a little bit of motivation along the way, as we all are on this continual journey of improving ourselves and achieving everything that the good Lord has given us that we can achieve. So, a little bit about myself and what I do. So, as I said earlier, I am the owner of Harberts Media and Harberts Health. Harberts Media is a full-blown media company or agency, whatever you'd like to call it. I specialize in real estate photography and commercial development for companies. I also do social media guidance and management for many companies throughout Sioux Falls and the surrounding area. And Harberts Health is a personal training company that I started 4 years ago. I started Harberts Media in 2018. We'll talk about that, though. And I started Harberts Health in 2015, actually. And it is a personal training company, and it is specializing in in-person and online personal training, and is really focused on just helping people jumpstart their fitness journey and, achieve their health and fitness goals, and realize that it doesn't have to be this big, scary, intimidating project to, get in better shape, that it can be a lot of fun. It can be relatively easy as long as you put the work in, and that, the gym doesn't have to be a scary place. So I figured for this first episode of the Get It Done podcast, I call it the Get It Done podcast, by the way, because if you follow me on Instagram, you probably have noticed that I post a lot. You have time, get it done. And I'm hoping you guys understand what that means. But what I mean by that is that it's very easy to put off certain things that we know are going to help us better ourselves, because we say that we are too busy, or we just don't have the time, or if I had just an extra hour, I could go work out. No, you have the time, you have the energy, you have the resources. So whatever your goals are, stop making excuses and just get it done. That's all I tell people. If they have something they want to do, I tell them, just get it done. Stop talking about it. Stop thinking about it. Just go out there and get it done. So that's why I call this podcast the Get It Done podcast. Also, because the only other thing I could think of was the Small Calves Big Heart podcast. And I just don't think that's going to age well. And I feel like I'm going to look back at that in like 3 years and be like, you know what? I probably should have called this something a little bit better. Anyways, I figured for the first episode of the Get It Done podcast, it would make sense to tell you guys about my journey into becoming a self-employed entrepreneur, owner of 2 businesses, and becoming my own boss, and kind of how that journey came to be, and how I got started, what my motivation was, and the steps that I took, because my story isn't like some rises from the ashes sort of story. I grew up in a family we did fine financially. We went to Disney World a lot. I have both parents that love me very much, and 2 older brothers that are great people. And I didn't have this like overcoming the odds type of story. And while I love those stories and I think those are phenomenal, I feel like it's kind of good for people to hear a story of a normal kid, that didn't have to overcome a ton of adversity. Not yet, at least. I'm hoping I don't have to overcome any sort of adversity in the future. But I think it's good for people to just hear a story about a normal kid that rose to the occasion, like myself, and, made something that, I didn't maybe think was possible 2 years ago or even a year ago. So I think it's important to have stories like that out there as well. So this first one is going to be a little bit of my story starting back in 2013. That was 7 years ago already. Are you guys as mind blown as I am how fast time goes, but also how slow time kind of seems to go? Like I think back about how like high school for me, I'm 25 now, in case I forgot to mention it. I'm 25 now, meaning that I was in high school 7 years ago. I graduated 7 years ago. It'll be 8 years ago this upcoming May. Which I don't know why I said that. It's only August, but it's 7 years now. And while 7 years kind of seems like a long time because it's like, wow, that was already 7 years ago. It's also kind of like, oh, wow, that was only 7 years ago. And I feel like I kind of feel like that. And I feel like I feel like that because I didn't go to a traditional 4-year school, as we'll talk about here in a second. So I've been kind of in the workforce and doing a professional career since I was 20 years old. So I've been doing it now for a long time, which probably makes me feel a little bit older than I actually am. So that's probably going to be why I feel like that. However, we're going to start back in 2013. I graduated high school from Rock Valley High School in Rock Valley, Iowa. Beautiful little town. Not so little anymore. It's like up to 4,000 people now. But a beautiful little town in northwest Iowa, about 45 minutes from where I work now. My mom and dad still live there on the acreage in the country. And my older brother lives there. My oldest brother and his wife and 2 kids live actually like 500 feet away from me. Now it's probably like couple 100 yards away from me, but they live really close to me, which is really fun. But I graduated there in 2013, and after I graduated, I guess technically before I graduated, my light just went out. I'm sorry. Before I graduated, I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I thought I wanted to go be an elementary teacher, and I was all set on going to Northwestern College in Orange City, Iowa. Great school. Great programs there. I think I would have probably done okay there had I learned how to actually study and focus. Never been a strong point for me. But I didn't really want to have to pay $30,000 a year to go to school. Depending where you are watching that, you might have just been like, what? That's so much money. Or you might have just been like, that's hardly anything. I live in New York and it's like 70 grand a year to go here. I don't know what it is, but I didn't really want to have to get in debt because at that time I kind of understood that, as a teacher, I'm going to be making this much money per year. I'm going to be having this much in college debt, meaning I'd have to pay off this debt until I'm like however many years old. And that's just not something I wanted to do personally. If you're a teacher watching this, please don't be offended. I'm not saying you made the wrong decision at all. If you're happy, that's what's most important. But for me, that just wasn't what I wanted to do. So I was kind of like, well, what do I do then? Like, I've always thought I was going to be a teacher. The reason I wanted to be a teacher was because my oldest brother, Derek, who's 8 years older than me, growing up, I really looked up to him. He went to school to be a teacher, so I was kind of like, I'll go to school to be a teacher, whatever, that works for me. And then once I actually saw the real life ramifications for what that meant, like, I don't know if that's the right word for it, but when I actually saw the real life, like, hey, this is what it's going to cost, and this is what you're going to make, and this is what it's going to be like, I was kind of like, yeah, I'm going to have to say no to that. That's going to be a hard no from me. So I talked with my parents quite a bit. I talked with both mom and my dad, but I talked to my dad quite a bit with this. And he suggested that if I didn't know what I wanted to do, he thought it'd still be good for me to get a college education. And he recommended that I go to a 2-year school, whether it was a community college or whether it was a tech school. So, looking back at this, I'm very glad I went to a 2-year school. But at the time, I looked at 2-year schools as the stupid kid college, or the college for kids that didn't have good enough grades to get into an actual real 4-year school. And I feel like that's kind of what a lot of people felt like at the time, because we kind of made fun of like the kids. We didn't make fun of them, but we'd kind of like poke fun at the kids that, would go to NCC, which is in Northwest Iowa, or went to Southeast Tech, or went to Iowa Lakes. There's a bunch of community colleges around this area. And we kind of would just laugh and be like, well, they couldn't get into a real school. So I was kind of like, I don't really know if I want to do that. But then I was stuck with like, well, if I don't do that, what am I going to do? I knew I had to kind of get out of Rock Valley if I wanted to, progress with whatever I wanted to do with my life. So I was just like, Okay, I guess I'm going to go to a 2-year school. I didn't want to stay at Rock Valley and live at home, and I didn't want to move to Sheldon, which is where NCC is. Nothing wrong with Sheldon. I'm just saying I didn't want to move there. So I moved to Sioux Falls in the fall of 2013, and I enrolled at Southeast Technical Institute, yeah, STI, which is a very unfortunate name for a school, but whatever. So I went to Southeast Tech and I got into their business program because I was kind of interested in the workings of business and, making money and, how business works. It's always been something I was just kind of interested in. And I was like, I don't know what else I'm going to go for. Looking back at it, I probably should have went for like business management or marketing or something, but I went for business administration, which I still really don't know what that means, but I have an associate's degree in it, so obviously I figured it out. I went there for 2 years, and during that time, I really started to get into like fitness and health and working out. I competed in a bodybuilding show or a men's physique show, whatever you want to call it, and I got really into working out and training and bodybuilding and watching guys like Steve Cook or Greg Plitt or Sadiq Hadvizik, and that was kind of foundations were kind of being built there. Like, hey, maybe I want to be like a fitness guy someday. I was working out at a gym called Fitness 19, rest in peace. That was a great gym. And I got to know a few of the trainers there, one of which was Jordan Miller, who is the owner of Run to Gun. If you're from this area, chances are you've probably heard of his show or you've seen his show or have seen his stuff online. He has a really cool TV show about hunting and training and stuff like that. It's really well produced. And I got to know him quite a bit while I was working out there. And I say that because in 2015, after I was finishing school, I had no idea what I was going to do. And he recommended that I get my personal trainer's certification because a local gym and golf company was looking for trainers for their gyms, Great Life Golf and Fitness. I had never heard of this company before. I had never, I was like, I have no idea who that is. But all I knew is that I didn't know what else I was going to do. So I was going to get my personal training certification. I didn't know I could actually be a personal trainer without a 4-year degree. So I was kind of like, okay, I guess I'm going to do this. I mean, it can't hurt to have it, right? Who knows what I could do with it, I suppose. So I got that, or I started working on that. And then Jordan linked me up with now one of my best friends, but at the time, the manager of a few of the facilities on the east side, Austin Kiergaard, who was a natural pro bodybuilder, in case you didn't know. And I interviewed with him, and we got along really well. I interviewed with another guy that no longer works at Great Life and hasn't worked there for like 5 years, but interviewed with another guy, and I got hired to be a trainer at the 26th and Village Square Great Life facility. Having no idea how to really train people, still having some pretty limited knowledge when it came to the actual training of people and like how the body works and what exercises to do. But what got me hired was that I had a lot of excitement about being there. I really wanted to be there. I really wanted to get started, and I really wanted to help people, jumpstart their fitness journey, because I was someone that when I was in high school, I kind of went through an eating disorder phase when I was a senior. I got really skinny. And then I kind of learned the benefits of eating healthy and working out and taking care of yourself after I got out of high school. And I wanted to help people in that regard, allowing them to see the benefits of being, in good shape and allow them to see the benefits of working out. So I started at Great Life in May of 2015. I still remember my first ever personal training session was in like the end of May. I didn't have many clients at first. The first one is in like the end of May. And it was with like this 11 or 12 or 13-year-old kid. I'm not going to say his name, obviously. If you're watching this young kid, not you, Lance, if you're watching this, not Lance, a different kid. The kid cried during his first session. So here's me, brand new green trainer. And this kid came in. His mom made him come in for personal training sessions to get him out of his house during the summer. And he starts crying during his first personal training session. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to get sued. Not quite understanding how stuff works back then. I was freaking out. But the session ended up going okay. I trained the kid a few more times, and then I never heard from him again, which is whatever. I hope he's doing well. But after that, I started to get a little bit busier with personal training. I was picking up a few clients, and that kind of taught me how to be a bit of an entrepreneur when it came to selling myself to people. Because when you're a personal trainer, a lot of times you can be seen as intimidating, or a lot of times you can be seen as kind of a salesman to people. And, during those few months of being a trainer and not really having many clients, you kind of learn how to talk to people and you kind of learn how to sell to people and make them feel like you're not selling them your services, you're agreeing to working with them. And it's a mutually beneficial agreement, meaning that they're going to pay you to train them and you're going to help them get in great shape. Once you can make people kind of see it from that perspective, it's going to change how they view you from being a car salesman into being like kind of like a mechanic of a car, meaning that, hey, it's a transaction. Both people are definitely getting a lot out of it. Not to hate on car salesmen. Car salesmen are fine. I don't know why I made that analogy. Leave me alone. Anyways, as 2015 rolled on, in other words, I'm not going to go year by year, like the entire year. This is just kind of getting everything rolling here. But as 2015 rolled on, I got a lot busier with personal training. Once I started to get more people and people saw that I was a trainer and not just a chubby kid that put the towels away, I started to get a lot more personal training clients. And throughout from like September in 2015, I think I trained like $500 worth of people in that month. Wasn't making much money. To like December, I think I was training like $4,500 a month worth of people. And I think I'm still one of the only, if not the only person from one of the small Great Life gyms to ever, break over that dollar amount, which is kind of cool. But I got really busy with personal training, and during that time, I've kind of honed in my sales tactics. I kind of honed in how to talk to people and how to converse with people, which would end up being very important now and still is very important with what I do. So 2016 rolled around, and I'm not gonna lie to you guys. It's a hard job being a personal trainer. I know that it may seem like, oh, you're in the gym with people. How hard can it be? When you have to put your entire energy into somebody for a half hour or an hour, and you have to do that 6, 7, 8 times a day, that is really hard to do, and it really wears on you. And like I did back then, I would work out at night. I would take pre-workout at 8 o'clock and go work out with my buddy Chris at night, which is a horrible mistake because I don't know how I ever slept during that time. But I'd go take pre-workout and work out, and then I'd get to bed at like 11, wake up at 4 o'clock and go train all day. I got pretty burnt out. Surprisingly, I got very burnt out doing that. And I was like, I can't do this forever. I've been doing like full-time personal training. So this is a few months into 2016. I've been doing full-time personal training for like 5 months now or 4 months now, really full-time. And I am just burnt out. I'm fried mentally. Like I cannot keep doing this. So I was like, how can I like make money, but not have to do hours upon hours of, manual labor, whatever you want to call it, but still make good money and still pursue my passion, which at the time was, continuing to be a well-known trainer in Sioux Falls. So I bought a video camera. I bought my first ever video camera from Best Buy for like $300. It was like a Sony Handycam, I think it was called. And I had no idea how to use it. I had no idea what any of the frame rate, there was no frame rates, what any of the recording rates were or anything. I had no idea what any of that stuff meant. All I knew was how to turn it on and press the button and record and make really crappy YouTube videos. And that's what I did a lot of 2016. I started to make YouTube videos because my goal was to get sponsored by like Gymshark or to get sponsored by Alpha Lead or BPI Protein or whatever it was. And my idol, like I said, was like a guy like Steve Cook. And that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be like him. I wanted to be a social media presence. So during that time, I started making these YouTube videos. My Twitter account started to grow quite a bit because I would post a lot of like fitness stuff. I'd post a lot of like shirtless pictures. And then, at that point in 2016, I was like super shredded because I was prepping for a show. So like those kind of spread on Twitter amongst the fitness crowd, and people would follow you because they wanted to learn your secrets and stuff like that. So I started to kind of build a little bit of a following on Twitter. And then I made these YouTube videos, and nothing really ever came from it because I wasn't ever super consistent with it. But during that time, it was more important than I realized because one, I was learning how to market to people, how to catch people's attention, and how to get my name out there, how to get stuff out there in a format that people want to see and that people feel like they want to share. And two, I was teaching myself how to make videos. I was teaching myself how to edit. I was teaching myself how to cut and paste music, how to cut and paste clips. It wasn't the best. It was very simple and very basic videos, but they were still videos that I was making, exporting, uploading, and posting about. And that was all important because fast forward a few months here, 2017 came around and Great Life was looking to move on from the company they were working with for running their social media and doing some marketing stuff with into internalizing it. And once that was kind of made known, I was like, hey, I'm good at Twitter. I'm good at social media stuff. I know how to get people's attention. I know how to run all of the platforms. I know how to make videos. So I started to run Great Life's social media. So I transitioned from being a full-time trainer into doing full-time training still, but kind of splitting up my hours between cleaning the gym and like going out and making videos. And that was a big step in my career because I went from being someone that was working solely on like commission and like a little bit of a salary for like cleaning the gym and stuff to someone that was working on commission and also now getting paid like 30 actual hours a week or so, like 30 or whatever it was at the time. I don't remember, but like 30 hours a week. And I'm like, I'm rich. I'm making so much money. This is insane. And I was pumped. But yeah, during that time is when I kind of learned like, hey, I'm making money. I don't have to work until my eyes fall out here. And this is a talent and a skill that is clearly coveted by not only Great Life, but other companies as well. And those seeds kind of started to get planted a little bit in my brain. So then we fast forward a little bit through 2018. I switch over to doing this full time, like I said. And then in late 2018 or early 2019, I believe, I officially became the content development specialist for Great Life, which is the job that I held until recently when I became self-employed and technically, I suppose, quit my job. I don't like to say that because that sounds like it's bad, but that was my position until recently. So during all that, you're probably wondering, like, you haven't talked once about Harberts Media or Harberts, kind of with Harberts Health, but you haven't really talked once about Harberts Media. Where does that all fit in? And the reason I haven't really talked much about that is because that kind of has its own little section here about the progression of Harberts Media. So right when I became full-time doing this stuff for Great Life, or almost full-time, not quite where I was at in like 2019, but pretty much doing it full-time, that was when I decided to start Harberts Media. I was on a huge Gary Vee kick, and I saw his VaynerMedia stuff, and I saw like, oh, he's, the whole, gotta get on your grind, gotta start your own company, gotta do all that, yada, yada, yada. And so I was like, oh my God, he's right. I have all this equipment. I have all this knowledge and talent. I need to start my own company. So I went and met with a lawyer and I got my own LLC created, which was Brendan Harberts LLC. And I started Harberts Media kind of on a whim. And in 2018, I think with Harberts Media, I made $100. I think all of 2018 with Harberts Media. So I had a pretty good fiscal year. No, just kidding. But I didn't really have a chance to do anything with it all year because right when I started it was right when I really got busy with doing this for Great Life, meaning that I was like, you know what, I need to focus on this Great Life stuff because I felt like I had a really good future with it, and I was correct. But I'm like, I need to do a really good job with this stuff. And this Harvest Media stuff is just if I want to do like photo shoots with families or something, or, go into like GNC or something and take photos of their products or whatever. So fast forward a little bit. In March 2019 comes around. We're going back a little bit more, obviously. March 2019 comes around, and the real estate agent that helped me buy my home, he reached out and was like, hey, my team is looking to get some video content made for all the realtors here. Is that something you'd be able to help us with? And initially I was kind of like, man, I don't have a ton of time. I don't really know if I want to put a lot of like extra time into doing that. Then he's like, well, we have like 5 agents or something, and we'll each pay you $300. And I'm like, oh, that's $1,500. And I was like, oh, I should do that because why not make some extra money? So I did that. And then I did that, and that was really easy money because all I had to do was do really basic videos. And then that was kind of like, I just made a lot of money, basically one of my paychecks, in like a few hours of work within a few weeks, like a few hours sprinkled in every single week. And I just made that really easily. What else can I do with this? So that kind of planted those seeds as well. So fast forward 2 months, and in May of 2019, I started to do real estate photography. I had a buddy that asked me if I did real estate photography, and I did not, but I said I did because I have a wide angle lens. So I guess technically I could do real estate photography. It was not a very good photo shoot, but at the time I was like, hey, I just made $100 off this. And I didn't really have to do that much work. That would have taken me like 4 sessions or 5 or 6 sessions to make that, doing personal training. And I just made that in maybe 2 hours of work. So I was like, that's something. That's really something. So that kind of grows moderately throughout the summer. I get to know a few more agents. I got involved with a real estate group in October of 2019, 605 Real Estate, and I got to shoot for quite a bit of them. And then I started to help them with their marketing and their video work on the side with all my Gray Life stuff as well. And during all of this, I'm kind of just seeing like, whoa, what I do, stuff that I just thought was just easy stuff to figure out, stuff that I thought was just really basic. It's like stuff that a lot of companies need help with, and it's stuff that a lot of people don't know how to do, whether it's, when to properly post on Facebook, or whether it's or how to upload a video, or how to, whatever it may be. This is stuff that I know how to do really easily, and a lot of people don't. So I'm like, I need to market this. Like, this is like a no-brainer. I don't want to just do real estate photography. Why not just help all sorts of companies? So that grew, and I started to help other companies with their marketing and their video work and stuff like that. And then we're finally getting around to 2020 here. Thanks for sticking with me so far. But our real estate is starting to pick up a little bit. As the winter months ebb away a little bit, the real estate is starting to pick up a little bit. And then bam, COVID hits. So here I am thinking, oh my God, 2020 was supposed to be the year that I made the biggest jump in my life, that I got close to the point where I was maybe going to be able to be on my own with Harberts Media at the end of the year, or that maybe I was going to be able to, be close to that point or figure something out, whatever I was that I wanted to do, because I had these massive goals. COVID hits. I'm like, I thought this was just going to throw a wrench in it and just ruin everything. Nope. The exact opposite happens. Rates go down when it comes to real estate, and the real estate market just explodes. And I get so busy. I pick up new clients every single week. Still doing that, but the last 15 weeks, I've picked up a new client every single week. And I am just getting insanely busy. I had these financial goals that I wanted to hit for 4 months straight before I even considered going off my own. And I just doubled those. And I just blew it away, month after month. And I'm just watching this and I'm like, this is monumental growth. This is just insane that this is happening, and all of a sudden I'm faced with the decision, what do I do? I went from thinking I'm never going to be able to go full time with my passion because of COVID to thinking now I have a real shot here and I have a real chance to do what I want to do because I was consistently making more than enough and more than what I had planned out to go off on my own. So I had a lot of good talks with, both my wife. I got married in May, by the way, with both my wife and my parents. And I talked a lot with my dad about this because he's been very involved with business the last whatever years he's been working. And I talked to him, and it always ended with me saying, or kind of ended with the concept of me saying, if I don't do this now, when am I going to do this? Because I'm 25, I'm still young, but I want to have a kid in 2 years. I want to start a family in 2 years with Kendra. I want to make sure that I can provide for my family. If I don't do this now, if I don't take this leap of faith now, when am I going to do this? And after I told myself that was the decision. I made my decision just by thinking. I think another light just went out. Sorry, my lights keep running out of battery. That was the decision maker for me. I just kept repeating it in my head. If I don't do this now, when am I going to do this? So I went in June and I had a talk with my boss at Gray Life, and I talked with him about what I was thinking and about why now. And I made sure that he knew and that everyone knew that I talked with about this, that this was nothing at all with Gray Life. I loved what I did, and I loved my job, and I loved working with the people that I worked with. But it was more so of this is my chance. I have a chance right now. Things are going really well. I'm now married, so I have 2 incomes in this household. I have no kids. My responsibilities financially are pretty low because I only have to do really is pay for my house and then equipment if I need it. If not now, when am I going to do this? And I'm not kidding when I say this. Every single person that I talked to with Gray Life, whether it was someone that would be higher up on me in the food chain or someone that was on the same level as me, every single person told me how excited they were for me that I made this decision. And every single person that I talked to said that they were just so happy for me that I was going off and pursuing my passion. And that meant a lot to me because it's not an easy conversation to talk to people that you've been working with for the last 5 years and gotten to know on a very personal level. Like, hey, I need to grow. I need to fly. I need to take off and jump and just see what I can do. That's not an easy conversation to have, and that's not a conversation that I looked forward to at all. But it was a conversation that I knew I had to have. And I'm very excited that, the conversations between myself and Great Life went so well. And I gave them a few pitches, or I gave them a pitch to continue actually working with them just through Harberts Media as opposed to being an employee there or a team member there. And they loved the idea, and we got a contract figured out, which is really exciting. That's not supposed to be like secret news or anything because you see me all over the gym still. But yeah, obviously that was a big win on my end as well. Obviously, I had prepared for them to say no. I had prepared for them to be like, you know what, we appreciate all that you've done, but we do think we're going to go a different direction. And that would have been fine. Like, I would have had zero issues with that because I understand. Like, that's what I did when I took over this role that I was in. They had to say that to the other people they were working with. And I get it. It's business. It's dollars and cents. But I gave them a really good offer, and I feel like they respected that I came up and just asked straight up instead of kind of beating around the bush and waiting until I wasn't happy. And obviously it worked out for the best. And that takes us to now. And I have been on my own now for 3 weeks now. Started July 16 of 2020. That was my first official day on my own. I had like 5 real estate shoots that day, so I was really busy, so I didn't even get a chance to enjoy it. But I've been on my own now. I had a insane July with both picking up new business and picking up clients, and financially, I doubled my June numbers, and from the looks of everything, August is going to be a very good month as well. So I'm very happy and I'm very excited with where I am currently at. So that's my story, guys. That's the first episode here of the Get It Done podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed this. This is a really long episode. They won't all be this long, I don't think, but I just wanted to give you guys kind of a little bit of a background into how I got to where I am. And I'm not trying to say like I'm some entrepreneur god or something, or that I've achieved just amazing things, because I'm not there yet. I'm not to the point where I'm like, where I even really want to be, not even close. And I think I'll probably say that forever. But I wanted just to let you guys know that this is my story. If I can do it, anyone can do it. I was just a kid that I went to Sioux Falls into a 2-year school on a whim because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And now I'm self-employed, making more money than I ever thought I would make and doing what I love to do every single day. And there's going to be ups and downs, and there's going to be really hard times. And I know that, and I'm prepared for that. But every single thing that I do now, every single decision that I make, I'm doing it because I want to do it. And that's a pretty awesome feeling. So thanks for watching, guys. If you like this video, please remember to like and subscribe, or like this podcast, or however you do that. And if you guys have anything you'd like me to chat about in future videos, please let me know. I'll try to keep these consistent, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening.